well-being. So how do we increase our financial well-being? Have you ever wondered, how do you measure happiness? Happiness is, after all, subjective, and what brings joy to one person may barely register for another. So is your happiness determined by the amount of time you spend with family and friends, how safe and secure you feel, your ability to afford a comfortable lifestyle, or the experiences you have? While we have all heard the saying, money cannot buy happiness, Michael Norton, in his 2011 TED Talk, argued that if you think money can't buy happiness, you're not spending it right. So here to help you along the journey to financial well-being and to help you spend your money in the right way is my colleague, Venus Wong. I could spend the next 15 minutes talking about Venus, but I won't, as her passion for helping our members achieve financial freedom speaks for itself. And how better to show this than provide you with a link to testimonials and reviews of her work on Advisor Ratings, a transparent, independent consumer feedback platform. You will see this link in your question and answers box. Venus will try and address all the questions that have already been received, but if she cannot, for some reason, she will reach out to you directly in the next few days. Over to you, Venus. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Okay, so now get started. Have to familiar with you? Yes? This one. Yeah? Yes. All right, so first thing I would like to say, this presentation, all the information I provided to you, just a general information only, and definitely is not a personal advice, okay? The purpose of this topic, achieving your financial well-being. So first thing we will cover, what is the financial well-being? Why it is important? How to achieve financial well-being? What other doctors say or what other experts say and how they achieve it? And should you do it yourself or you have to find an advisor? So the before and after implementation of plan and some useful tips and resources. First thing I want to show you, I'm not just want to say everything about money. 5 or 6 years ago, I attended a conference, and one of the speakers, first thing he asked us to do an exercise. You might have done that. So basically what you need to do is what we call is the wheel of life. To live a happy life, you know, you can't just have money. All these areas you can't ignore. So he asked us to do is rate from 1 to 10, how happy or how satisfied on each areas. So the ideally, of course, you have the wrong, like, you know, let's say if you're very happy, rated at 8, then, you know, you will have a round circle. This is the best. So what do you guess? You know, my result is terrible. I'm going to show you. My result at that time was like that. So that was a wake-up call for myself because I realized maybe I spent too much time on my career, or maybe, you know, I didn't really spend much time on other things. So what I want to say is I know that this presentation is for junior doctors. So your journey, now you're junior, later you'll be senior, and then, you know, probably you will spend a lot of time on your study, your work, but you really can't neglect all other areas. So now get back to the topic, what financial well-being is. Basically, it's a very, very simple, is you have the control day-to-day, month-to-month finances, and have the capacity to absorb a financial shock. Very good example, like a COVID, you know, there was a statistic came out from US and say that, you know, 55 to 56% of the American, you know, they do not have $500 saving in the bank account. So you can imagine, so they rely on the government to help them. The third, are you on track to meet your financial goals would be, to buy your car, maybe first home, paying off other debt or on track to your retirement. So at the end, everyone wants to achieve financial freedom so that to make a choice that allows you to enjoy life. I want to talk about why it is important. Sir Francis Bacon said, money is a good servant, but a bad master. So what money really is, money isn't what we're really after. Actually, it's what we're really after is the feeling, the emotion we think money can create. The feeling of empowerment, freedom, security, helping our loved ones, and to feel alive. So what the expert says, maybe you have heard Tony Robbins in his book, Money Master the Game. He refers money is certainly one of the ways we can turn the dreams we have into the reality we live. And how about other doctors says, I also have read one of the book by a doctors, and he said, to obtain wealth without forgetting why we build wealth in the first place, to live an intentional and balanced life. Fire movements. I want to talk about, there's a movement. So what about, I think, very popular in the last 5-10 years, the group of people, what they do is they want to, FIRE stand for financial independent, retire early. What they do is their goal is to save and invest very aggressively, and somewhere between probably 50 to 75% of their income. So half of the income, they save it. So what they want to do is probably they want to retire at 30, 40s. But for you, most of you, maybe, I don't think you want to retire at 30, maybe at 30, you still haven't finished your study. But the idea is not really to retire. It really is they can do what they want to do. At the same time, they can say no to the thing they don't want to do. So I have to talk about three very popular person, and they share these fire movement idea and teaching people how to do it. The first one, maybe you have heard his name, Mr. Money Mustache. He's a Canadian and he's 30-something. At 30-something years old and he retired, he was a software engineer. So obviously his focus is how he spent the money and then how he saved the money. And after he saved the money, he said that, he won't spend more than 4% of the investment income from his portfolio. The next one I want to talk about, Bramit. So the book he has, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And this book, he's a very funny person, he's Indian, and then you can see, of course, he's Indian. He say there's no one better than him to teach people how to teach you to be rich. His philosophy, one thing I want to point out, he's a bit different with other people. Normally they say you shouldn't buy coffee every morning, spend $4 or $5. Now he suggests people, yes, please do it, because you do need to have certain amount of money you save, the category, have a one bucket of money you save, and you should spend it extravagantly. Some people may like to buy shoes, and then some people like to go out to eat. So that saving, make yourself is no guilt. So this is what he teach people to do. So these two people, you can see they're very popular. Someone, did a comparison, what their philosophy. I'm not going to read it all to you. You will get a copy of the presentation and you can read it yourself. And the third person I want to mention, the book, Your Money or Your Life. Now, this lady, actually, she worked with a guy called Joe, but he passed away. And about 30-something years old, now he retired and he was an investment banker. So he taught people, what he say is, they want the people to realize your fulfillment won't increase by you accumulating more luxurious item. So basically, to survive, first thing you have something, to provide some fundamental, you have place to stay and then food to eat, but then you want a bit more comfort. Once you reach this level, then you buy a bit more, suppose you have a Camry, Toyota car, then later you want to have a Mercedes, all these luxurious items. But he suggests that, to this point, enough is enough. Now you won't get more luxury item and then more happy. So actually, it is bad for you to accumulate more luxurious item. So here you can see that he said that, okay, the moment you accumulate more luxurious item, you have all these headache. You're thinking about, okay, you have to buy that, you have to learn how to use some of your toys and then how you operate that, store them, pay for the insurance, fix it, maintain it. So all these things. And next slide, actually, you might heard about these minimalist. So basically, they're talking about the same thing. To be free from financial worry, you need to get rid of all of clutter that doesn't really add values to your life. Spend more experience rather than on the stuff and be happier and less stressed and go green. You don't buy and throw away stuff. So to develop better relationships. So what truly matters is what you are able to design for and live the way you want to, be more present and spend more time with the family without money matters waiting on your mind. All right, so now you know that the important about the philosophy is not just money. There are other areas you need to do. So let's say, okay, it's not everyone suddenly achieve to have a financial fulfillment. It's quite popular. It's quite common for people. It's go through a stage, 7 stage. The first stage is financial chaos. Is you just stuck your head in the sand. You don't want to know. You're trying to avoid. If you see the bills, you probably don't open the envelope about those bills. But to a point, you're aware of you can't really avoid anymore. You really need to do something. So you started to find some ways to help you, and then you get financial stability. And then you go to the next stage, financial security, financial freedom. And to this stage, you will see most of the people, but quite common, they will donate some money to help other people. Not only about money, they also will donate the time to help other people. So how do we get there? All right, so I know that obviously as a doctor, I know that you're intelligent adults, you can read and do a lot of things. But some people, they like to see financial advisor purely. They don't want to waste, I can't say waste of time, but sometimes they're just not interested. They just want to have someone to do it faster for them. So times, fees, or the results, there's the pros and cons. So let me go through. All right, Scott Pape, in Australia, so I cannot not mention about him, of course. His book, Barefoot Investor, I'm sure you've seen it in the bookstore. So in his book, he talked about 9 steps to financial freedom. Okay, so I'm not too sure whether you have read this book, but this is the step. He said, first step, you need to schedule a monthly barefoot date night. So talk to your partner. How do you should plan, about your money. The next step, set up your buckets. The third, pay off your debt. The fourth step, buy your first home. And the fifth is turbocharge your wealth. And 7, get the banker off your back. And the 9, nail your retirement number. And obviously this module is about emergency funds. So besides his book, actually, I think about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I typed finance book written by doctors, because actually there are some medical professionals, they're not only just a doctor, they like to study this topic, and they have written some books about this one. Now these books, most of them I have read it. So I have prepared a summary for you, based on my knowledge. In the past, I worked at the AMA about 13 years, and I've seen different clients and read different books. So basically, the summary from the experts and doctors All you need to do is create a wealth plan. There are 8 steps, basically in 8 areas. Income and spending plan, you can say it's a budgeting. The second one is a debt management, risk management. We talk about insurance here. And the fourth, investment management. Fifth is student education. Now, you might say, what is that student education? I don't know whether nowadays, for parents to pay for the children to go to private education, probably you can talk about 20, 30,000. And I have clients to send the children studying overseas in UK. Each year he spend about 70 or 80,000 per year, and he has 2 children, and then send the kids to UK. You talk about 160,000. You can also that amount equal to pay for the mortgage. So definitely you need to plan for that. So tax planning, estate planning, and asset protection planning. Now, this presentation, some of you may have more knowledge than other. My objective is not to go very in-depth on each topic. My objective is purely just give you a quick overview. And you can give me some comment or feedback if you want, because I can do every single topic in depth for half an hour. So maybe when we send you the feedback form, you can tell me whether you want me to go to do some more webinar and to talk about each topic. All right, so I want to talk about, before we go to other things, you need to know the total economic world. It includes 2 components. One is your human capital, and the other one is financial capital. That, add 2 together, equal to your total economic world. In our financial planning world, actually, most of the books, what they're trying to teach you, all the strategy is cover these 2 areas. These areas, what they teach you is to protect your human capital. Now, let's say you're age 25, you have a lot of human capital, you're fit and healthy and young, but when you're getting older, then it's not much. 65, most of the people retire at this age. But your jobs at age 25 is not just working. Your job at the same time, you do need to accumulate wealth. So to start with, you don't have a lot. But you do need to slowly to build it up. Hopefully by the time 65, even though you don't have a lot of human capital, but you accumulate significant wealth. So 2 things you really need to know. One is the wealth creation strategy to build this. The other one is the wealth protection, to have insurance to protect you. So 8 areas, I will go through all of them, but just very quick review. Okay, the first one, I want to talk about these 2 topics, income and spending plan, your budget, and then of course, your spending, maybe including pay off your debt. All right, talk about Scott Pape, Barefoot Investor. He teaches us to have a budget plan. Now, you might remember, he have all these pictures, teach people how to do it. I find it's a bit hard, so I have made a simple one for you. This is what we call bucket strategy. So very simple. All you need to do, have 4 buckets, 4 different bank accounts. Now, at the moment, I'm using this method, okay? So basically, you just set up a bucket, your income, go to the bank account, and spend roughly about 70% in your living expenses, including you paying your rent and mortgage. Now, I think, a lot of people ask, how much should I factor, to use the money to pay for my rent or mortgage? Actually, a lot of the professional, they will recommend is 20% to 33%. Actually, the bank normally, they will, they're more comfortable you use 1/3 of your income to pay your mortgage. The reason is, you don't want to be too much, because just in case the interest rates up, so you don't feel too much stress about that. The second bucket is 10%. for your emergency fund. Now this one, emergency fund, doesn't mean you need to buy a TV, so therefore you take this money. You need to buy a new car, you take this money. No, this is exactly what happens in America. More than 50% of the people cannot afford or don't have $500 in the saving account. Now this amount is every pay. You take 10%, put into that account, and saving for a rainy day. You can't touch it, and just keep it as cash at this moment, if you just start with. The next one is investment. Now this is what we say, pay yourself first. The investment can be inside or outside superannuation. The fourth one is the fund bucket. So basically this bucket, so make yourself, there's no guilt, this money you can use for, spend for your travel, your gift, be with your mates, things like that. But the most important is automation is the key to success. Myself, at the moment, I don't need to do any of this. Everything automated. I tell you, I couldn't even remember last time I manually transferred this money. To be honest, I couldn't remember. I think must be I set it up long time ago. Maybe 8-10 years, Now, at the moment, at my workplace, there's a girl, we work in the same team. I'm sure probably she's attending this webinar. Now, one day she was so excited, saying, "Oh, we got our pay." Maybe, she knows who I'm talking about. Maybe she's laughing at the moment. So at that moment, I was really envy to that feeling, because I don't have that feeling for a very long time, because I even don't know when I got paid. The money was just automatically go to this account. So the downside of this, you set it up automatically, maybe you don't have the feeling about excitement, get your pay. But anyway, so come back. Okay, the next one I want to say, percentage will be changed. What does it mean is, now let's say you're an intern, you're earning roughly about 80,000 a year. To compare, someone, maybe earn $500,000, these percentage will change. Now, but let's say, now maybe you say, well, Venus, at the moment I earn $100, but I spend $110. I can't do these bucket things. So what can I do? So what you can do, I want to introduce you, this gentleman, Sir John Templeton. He created a managed fund in 1954. And of course, he's very successful. In 1999, the Money magazine saying, he is arguably the greatest global stock picker of the century. In his book, he talked about, he had no money, but he started with 1% put into the account for his investment. Because he had no money, of course, 99% will be spent on the living expenses. But before he died, he spent 99%. He put all 99% into his investment, and he only spent 1% on living expenses. So the most important is the habit. For those people in the last 13 years, I've seen all my clients, for those accumulate significant wealth, it really is the habit. They do know how to spend the money. So it's very important, you need to know, it's not how much you earn, it's how much you save and how much, how you invest your money. So in order to do that, of course, you do need to know where the money goes. So AMA, we do have a one-page expense planner. I can email it to you. So it's a one page. All you need to do is put the figure here, the yellow column here, and it will automatically calculate for you weekly, monthly, and yearly, so that you know that you know your expenses. All right, the next one I want to talk about risk management is the insurance. Okay, so in Australia, there are 4 types of insurance. None of them can replace each other. I'm not going to go into very detail. So it's the income protection, life insurance, and totally and permanent disabled and critical illness. I know that most of you have Gatsby Super. Like within that, most of you will have default insurance. There are a lot of disadvantage about default insurance. And I might, if you're interested, I will talk about the whole topic about insurance, but I'm not going to talk about today in here. Some people, they don't like insurance because they say no, because so many bad news, insured, they don't pay, but I want to show you the statistic from the top 12 insurers in Australia, from 2013 to 2016, you can see they do pay. 2013, the top 12 insurers, they pay $5 billion. And then you can see the claim payment increase to almost double to $9 billion in 2016. Now, I don't have 2017-18 because they don't do this figure anymore. But you can see for those you have insurance policy, you can see your premiums keep increasing because the pay, the claim number increased, the pay. All right, so the top 3 leading causes of claim. Now, I want to point out this one: income protection, mental illness. Guess which occupation submit most claim to the insurer? Well, have a guess? Okay, I want to tell you, actually, it's medical professional. A lot of medical professionals submit a mental illness claim. After 2 or 3 years, once they're on claim, after 2 or 3 years, very unlikely they will go back to the workforce. And then they will submit a total and permanent disabled claim. They will never able to work again. This is very important for your occupation to have insurance. All right, again, I want to talk about a case study. Now, how much the value of good health over a working lifetime. There's a case, Steve, age 30, married with 2 young kids. His annual income is $300,000. It's not something uncommon. And if Steve injured himself in a bike accident and could not work again, and due to his injury, and he can't work again, from 30 years old, and in the next 35 years to his retirement age 65, how much you think his family will miss out? Guess. Actually, the answer is almost $15 million, allowing for 2% of inflation. So 2 questions. The first question is, what is the most important assets of use? So basically it's your ability to earn an income is a very important asset. The next one is, if you can't, or you and your partner, can't work, are you able to cope for even just 6 months? So this is the question. So the next one, I want to talk about investment and children education. All right, I love this topic, the power of compounding. The case, okay, 1 million now, a penny doubling for a month. Okay, a scenario. A billionaire stops you on the street and offers you 2 options. One is $1 million right now on spot. Do you choose this one? Or he will put aside a penny to be doubled in value every day for 30 days. Options. So which one you're going to choose? Is it just $1 million now? You don't care about the next 30 days? Or this is a trick question? Or patient is always seems good? So all right, which one do you choose? Let's have a look at the answer. All right, surprise, surprise. If you choose 1 million immediately, basically you miss out $4.3 million. Look at the day 30. Now have a look, day 1, 1 cent. Day 2, 2 cents, doubling each day. But have a look, amazingly, the power of compound interest. Day 30. Or I understand. So basically, people may say, Venus, live in a real world, things won't double each day. Now I want to give you an example. Say someone and 100,000 a year and just invest 5% a year. So 5,000 a year. The rate of return roughly about you earn 5%. $416 a month is not something too much to ask. So if you do that, year one, year two, all the way 20 years, roughly is about 173,000. So if you do save 10%, so you can double, almost 400,000. So probably this is why people can retire after 10 years, 20 years. If you contribute more, you can see, of course, we'll have more. All right. But the most important is, it's not about you put that money there. Actually, I want to introduce this very, very simple principle is turning simple disciplines into massive success and happiness. The book I have read is very, very famous book and called The Slight Edge. The author, he taught us what you need to do. 95% people fail because they have bad habits. Every day, they made some simple errors. Every day, for a long period of time, fail. But only 5% of people, you keep doing some simple few things every day, then you will be 5% achieve your success. This one a bit better. I want to mention, this one. This is how your philosophy affect your attitude, will lead to your action, and then lead to your result, and of course go to your lifestyle. Today I know that my main topic is finance, but I want to say that's applied to everything. Your health, your personal development, every day do you read, your relationship, you need to cultivate in your relationship and everything. Okay, this graph telling you from the first 10, half of the time, 10 years, you won't even move your needles. You won't notice anything. But this journey, you have to keep doing that. The thing is, easy to do, also very easy not to do. So therefore, it's very important every day you do the right thing. So I just go back this example. Have a look. That's 17. Day 17, only $655 is nothing. But later stage, you will see the increase just explosive. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about investment, because some people, ask me a question, Venus, what should I do? I have some cash there, where should I put my money in? I want to say it's not a simple answer. I can't really answer you very simply because there are different investment style, different strategy. Your money is what for short term, do you need the money after 12, you can't invest more than 12 months, or you can invest more than 5 months, 10 years, whatever. And there's a different style. Now, maybe you have heard passive investment style, index fund, the active one, active fund manager. I want to tell you within your Gatsby Super, what your super fund, how they invested for you actually is a whole thing. They combine with everything here. So I'm not going to go into the detail. What is the passive investment style? Basically, the main thing is to minimize returns by maximize your return by minimize buying and selling. Reduce the cost, reduce your tax and everything. They use probably the example is ASX 300. People you can buy just index fund, buy Australian fund. All they do is just buy the top 300 company in Australia. The top 10 company in Australia at the moment is CSL, all the big banks, some, BHP. And probably I won't go through the detail. That is another question someone asked. The index fund, versus the ETF. I let you to read. Basically, this one is traded on the stock exchange. You need to buy like a stock. This one you can buy $5, $10. This one is the minimum, trading amount maybe. The next one is tax planning. I remember 1 or 2 months ago, I think there was an accountant, delivered a presentation, talk about all these tax planning. Basically, is your income. How do you minimize your tax? There are different strategy. If you have surplus money, where should you invest, in more tax effective? So there's some checklist available. You can use that, to ensure yourself to claim all the work-related expenses, that sort of things. All right, the last one is, I talk about estate planning. All right, question, estate planning, of course, very common. You have a will and a power of attorneys, and the people set up as testamentary trust. Question. What happens if you die without a will in WA? Is it fair for me to say everyone have a will? Yes or no? All right, the answer is, if you die without a will, actually, you do have a will. You will die, basically, you die intestacy in WA. In Western Australia, if you die without a will, your estate will be distributed in accordance with the legislation. So basically, let's say, for example, your husband and wife have 2 kids. If you do not have a will, the first 50,000 will go to your wife, and then the rest of the amount will be split 1/3 to your wife, and then less than 1/3 to the wife, and this 2/3 will be equally distributed among the children. This is the chart, tell you how your money will goes to if you without a will. So this is the one I mentioned to you. Now, if you live in the WA, you have to follow this one. But if you live in the Victoria, you have another one. So different state, they have a different figure. The assets protection. Now, someone asked me, hey, Venus, should I have a trust? Because my job may be very easy for people to sue me. So therefore, you will see people will set up a trust, family trust, and maybe they buy a house, under the spouse name or all other things. So normally your accountant and lawyer will work with you about this one. The other one I want to talk about BFA, binding financial agreement. Now, this is for like a prenup, okay? I have a client, he had 2 marriages. Now he's single. Now, one time he said, Venus, I can't afford to have 3 marriages because every time I divorce, I have to split half to my spouse. Really hard for him. So now this one, I just want to say, this agreement is, you can set it up between couples, married or de facto relationship. It's about how property and financial, or all your finances will be divided, and you can do it before, during, or after a relationship or marriage has broken down. Okay, you do need to ask lawyer to help you to do it, and of course to avoid, the purpose is avoid the significant financial and emotional side. So, all right. So this one I'm not going to detail because someone asked me the question. You will get a copy of the presentation. You can read it. Just have a quick summary. So the world plan. So basically, let's say John, as a doctor, come in, he has problem because he's time poor. He wants someone to help him for all those 8 areas I mentioned to you. So if you see advisor, the advisor will give you a plan, and that plan not only give you a plan, will call you for an action. You have to do it. After you do it, then of course you at the end, in a success, then avoid all the failure. So you have all these 8 areas on this wealth plan. This is the before and this is after. I'm not saying you exactly have the same because everyone have different goals, but this is just give you an idea. So before and after you implement this plan. All right, so how to help you further, basically, if you are at home now, can you get a pen and paper and just write down my email address? Okay, maybe Denver will, going to type this one for you. So if you email me on the subject line, can you put an info, this word? So what I will do, I will email you a copy of this presentation, and I'm sure AMA will email you as well. But I will email you a 1 page of the AMA expense planner, plus a list of the book. I think is very good for you to read. I'm going to find it, and then send it to you. And then later, actually, we are thinking to set up a YouTube channel, and then we'll have so many topics related to you. If people are interested in a managed fund, index fund, so I'm going to probably interview different fund manager. So many topics based on your feedback, I can do it. And the next one is, as an AMA member, actually now, what benefits you can have now is you can have a free wealth report. So it's a new tools. We will send this information to you later. So it's a very nice report. You can see your income, expenses, if you're doing what you're doing now, by the time, whatever the age, how your wealth look like. And you also, as a junior doctor, we offer you the free online tax return through this Nixa. And of course, if you feel you do need to set up your estate planning, then we can help you to do that. And at the moment, actually, in the process, we employ the in-house mortgage broker. I know someone asked, which home loan is the best home loan? Actually, the person will tell you all these. All right, so if you don't want to rely on our information, go to government website at 61 Have the Money Smart. They have these topics, you can read that. And all right, so all these, I don't want you, now basically now you spend more than half an hour. I don't want you to just attend this webinar but do nothing. So your job, I really hope you take action, because, if you have so many goals, but, without a plan, and then to take action, it's just a dream. So basically this week, please find 1 hour. What you need to do, 3 things. First thing is the presentation. You can find a copy. Please do the Wheel of Life there to give yourself rating. So all those areas, is like something you haven't done it, something probably you put more time. And this is to live an intentional and balanced life. This is what the doctor, James Turner says, you do need to focus on that. The next one I want you to do, the first step you have to do is to create your bucket strategy. To do that, 70%, the living expenses, 10%, those percentage. The third one, print this page, put on your wall, and remind yourself it's every day, simple few action that help you to achieve not only financially, health, and all other things. All right, one thing I want to point out is, if you do want to go to see a financial advisor to help you, I want to say this, we're different with all other financial planning company in Australia. Normal financial planning company, what they do, of course, they have to charge you fees, and after they pay for the expense and everything, whatever left, then of course the profits for the owners. And the AMA here, we're different. We're the same, of course, charge you fees or commission, and then, but every profit, every single dollar at the end go to the medical profession, because all go back to the AMA, and none of the advisor get any commission. Every single dollar all go back to the AMA. If everything being equals, of course, I would like you to support AMA. We're happy to help you. The last one, the quote, summarize everything from the author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said, it is not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. So that's it. Any questions? So should I?
Yeah, so thank you, Venus. There haven't been too many questions other than what you have already answered, which has come through. And so thank you and appreciate for responding to those questions. I do have one question, and I hope you can answer it or give us some direction. So we are in an extremely low rate environment. The cash rate is extremely low. The mortgage rates are obviously dropping. But for someone who is potentially having a lump sum or a cash amount available to invest, what would be your advice or suggestions in this low rate environment as how can they think of managing that lump sum or cash, and what can they do with it? Any tips?
Well, I wish there's just one answer for everyone, but that's definitely not. As I mentioned, I do know a lot of you, maybe you accumulate some cash. Now that cash is how big, Are you talking about 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, or millions dollars? Now that amount, to be honest, do you need to use it, after 12 months? And the next thing, you see advisor, normally they will do exercise with you called risk profile. As you know that, I have a client every day, they need to look into the market closing. Let's say if 100,000, if I say you put in the portfolio, let's say 100,000, that a few months ago, COVID, they dropped 30, 40%, 100,000 now become 60,000. Are you able to sleep at night? You know, people really nervous about that. So basically, very simple is to be honest, myself is a really high growth aggressive investor because I understand all this. But if I have a long term, long time frame, no doubt, like if you're intern, you're 20 something, no question asked, high risk profile, you know, maybe later, next time, maybe I show them, maybe I can do a one-page summary about different profile, the return in 30, 40 years. To be honest, it really depends on you. Are you able to sleep at night, and do you need the money in 2 or 3 years? If you really need the money very short term, to be honest, you can't because you don't know when the market really come back. So maybe, but there are, I think, some high interest earning account, those maybe you can look into for short term. But otherwise, it's just, every month, putting some money in the balanced portfolio if you have 3-5 year time frame. Okay. Is it, are there any questions? Unfortunately, I can't see you guys. I don't know. All right, I have to let Danby to hear. Thanks very much, everyone.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to attend this webinar. We have done a few webinars over the years, but this is the first one for this year. Venus does frequent seminars. She has presented at Fiona Stanley. She's going back there in December. She does work with the medical education unit over there. She's soon going to be doing some seminars with St. John of God in Midland. We are obviously available over here at 12 Sterling Highway on the ground floor. So if you do need to come in and see us, you're welcome to drop us a line. I have provided Venus's email address in the chat box. I have also provided a link to the independent rating site, Advisor Ratings, where you can actually take a look at all the testimonials of clients who have come in and seen Venus and got her help.
I forgot to say something. One thing I have to add. If people still say, or I forgot to show you is, that I say, I want you to do 3 things. One thing is make sure you do the wheel of life. The second thing is you need to do your bucket. I want to show you, I have a client, you think it's not just 4 buckets. Have a look. I hope you can see it. Can you see how many buckets? How amazing job he has done, I'm sure he's not attending this. Otherwise, I don't know whether he's happy for me to show, but it's an amazing job, He started with a very simple few buckets and then he developed like that, okay? You can do it, I want to say.
All right, so that's great. So thank you for your time today. Please feel free to drop Venus a line if you still have any questions. And if there are any unanswered questions, like we said, Venus will reach out to you directly. Thank you, and we look forward to having you back at our next webinar.